This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. House Republicans have passed a set of rules that make significant changes to the way the chamber operates and let lawmakers take aim at reducing government spending. Susan Ferricchio and Mika Sellner report rules pushed by the most fiscally conservative House members passed on a 220 to 213 vote. Two Texas Republicans didn't vote. Tony Gonzalez voted no, and Dan Crenshaw didn't vote. The rules limit increases in direct spending and block the House from automatically raising the debt ceiling. They also slow down the passage of legislation by requiring 72 hours for members to consider bills before voting. Another change requires a 3/5 vote in the House to raise tax rates. The package also reinstates the motion to vacate, allowing one lawmaker to bring up a vote to remove Speaker Kevin McCarthy. The Speaker was elected with the help of Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a shift for the accused insurrectionist who tried to persuade other conservatives to elect McCarthy. Kerry Pickett talked with Greene, who by supporting McCarthy early split from many Freedom Caucus members, such as Andy Biggs of Arizona, Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, Bob Good of Virginia, and Lauren Boebert of Colorado. Greene says that her early friction with McCarthy dissipated over 2 years of conversations in which they found common ground on a conservative agenda. The controversial Congresswoman has previously bought into QAnon and other conspiracy theories, while also making a string of inflammatory remarks in her first term. Accused Idaho killer Bryan Kohberger was arrested December 30th and now faces 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. Jeff Murdoch reports the 28-year-old was a PhD criminology student at Washington State University, just 8 miles from the crime scene at a small apartment complex near the University of Idaho. Authorities haven't disclosed a possible motive or said whether Kohberger had any ties to the 4 victims killed on November 13th. Moscow, Idaho Police Chief James Fry said detectives don't have a motive, but have evidence that the attack was targeted and that Kohberger is the only suspect. You can read all of these stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page. You can also find the entire lineup of Washington Times podcasts at WashingtonTimes.com/podcasts. A think tank study of a simulated war between China and the U.S. over Taiwan says Chinese forces would be defeated in the conflict, but with a high cost in casualties and heavy losses of large ships and aircraft. Bill Gertz reports the Center for Strategic and International Studies conducted 24 separate scenarios. In most scenarios, they found the U.S., Taiwan, and Japan defeated a conventional amphibious invasion by China and maintained an autonomous Taiwan. The cost, even in the most optimistic scenarios, however, is the loss of dozens of ships, hundreds of aircraft, and thousands of service members, according to the report. And finally, a combination of the 8-day Chinese New Year celebration starting January 21st and 3 years of suppressed demand has led to a sharp spike in bookings for international travel from China. Andrew Salmon reports China's 40-day period of Lunar New Year travel is often billed as the largest single migration of people in the world. Officials at the Chinese Transport Ministry last week estimated that more than 2 billion will take trips during the period. In 2019, 6.3 million Chinese traveled overseas during the holiday. According to reports from China, the top regional destinations are South Korea, Singapore, and Japan. Those and other countries are bracing for the impact of tourists from a country racked by COVID-19 after China lifted its controls on outbound travel on Sunday. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.